Okay, everybody, well, here we are at the bench with a look at the Nomad. Things are coming along really nice on this. I've basically got all the major assembly work done on this. All the painting and everything has been done. I've been spending the last couple of days getting all the electronics worked out, and just wanted to show you what I came up with here, you guys. Now, what I'm doing with this kit is my client wanted to have this kit to be modular when it was finished. In other words, he can break this all down. That's going to help a lot when I ship it, by the way, which I can pack this all into a lot smaller box because he's quite tall. He's about 38 inches tall from top to bottom when he's all put together. So that'll help a lot with that. So what I'm going to be doing is, you can see this top plate here and his head are going to be able to separate from the main body. I'm going to use some of the small little JST connectors here because what we've got at the top is just a basic power wire that runs up inside here for the lighting that's up in the top. We've got the eyes lit up here in the top of his head, and we've also got a little strip of blue LED tape running around in the crown here that gives a nice little blue glow. That was kind of a special little feature my client Bobby wanted to have on this model. So I've got that all worked out. Now what I had to do, you can see inside here, you guys, I had to do some light blocking to separate the upper and lower lighting features on this thing, because we've got these lights up on the top that flash when his voice works, and then we've also got the ones in the bottom that come on and do this kind of rotating, you know, effect in green. We've got the red and the yellow at the top. So I used a little bit of this plastic board here to make a little bulkhead. I've got that hot glued in, and then I've got some lighting in there. Now what my client requested was, he wanted to have the way it actually works on the original prop is that when he's not talking, these lights here are not lit up at all, like these little panels. They only flash whenever he talks. But my client wanted to have a little bit of background lighting in there so that even when he's not talking, he has a little bit of light coming out of there, and you see a little bit of, you know, the red and the yellow glow coming out of these little screens here. So what I've done is I put this little small strip of LED tape. It kind of really surprised me how little amount of tape it took to light this up really nice and get a lot of even lighting in here. You know, you can see I cut out a few big strips of this stuff because I thought it was going to take a lot more than that, but believe it or not, when I show it here at the end, when it's all stacked up and lit up, it really does a nice job. I've got the same exact thing on the bottom side of this panel here to light up the green, and then we're going to be installing some LEDs right up against this green lens that's in there, and we've got this little control board here that I had Ralph do for me at Tenna Controls, and that's going to do that kind of sequencing effect, you know, that kind of random lighting that's going on in there, that little pattern that you see. And I was going to originally do this just kind of all random on each panel, but my client wanted to have all the panels be sequenced the same, so they all look the same. So we had to have a special board for that. Otherwise, you could do this with just some random blinking LEDs, which I haven't decided yet when I actually get around to building mine, whether I'm going to do that or go this route, but we'll see how this turns out. But I think it's going to work pretty good. So we had to create this little board to do that. And then also, you know, when you use these sound boards, like the Big Dogs board and the new one that I'm using now, they're only capable of lighting LEDs. So you can't use LED strip to do that. It doesn't have the right voltage for that. It puts out 5 volts. And that'll light an LED fine. You can hook up to, you know, I think I've had up to like 20 LEDs hooked up to that soundboard, and they'll pulse every time the sound effect comes out of there, and that normally would work fine for this. But I just didn't think LEDs were going to do the job up here, so I wanted to use LED strip. So what I had Ralph do here is he created sort of an emulator on this thing. So what we do is we take the speaker output from our soundboard. It goes to the input of this board, and then we have an output from this board that can drive LED tape, so we're upping the voltage up to 7 volts. That's the quickest and easiest way I can explain that, you guys, and that way it'll drive the lighting on LED tape, and that will modulate every time the voice sound effect comes to the board from our soundboard. So that's how we work that out. And based on what I'm seeing here, the little bit of amount of LED tape I had to use, I'm not going to have to use very much LED tape in here to do that, and it'll light up the I need to make enough where it gets brighter than the standard lighting that's going to be on all the time, so you see it actually get brighter when it talks and when it's just sitting there idle, and I'll have to work that out, but we'll kind of test and tune on that. Down here at the bottom, we're just going to put some regular LEDs in and hot glue those right to the back side of this little lens that's in here, and that's going to give us that nice rotating kind of checkerboard effect that we saw on the original prop. But the only difference being there'll be some additional little background lighting going on with that. So that's basically how I'm working that part of it out, you guys. We've got the little details at the head all done here. Now you guys can hopefully tell on this video, probably at the end I'll show you the difference. I'll show you the raw kit that I still have that I'm going to build for myself later on, so you can really see the difference. But I put a lot of time into getting this 3D print all smoothed out and getting rid of most of the print lines that you saw. It looks way better than it did. It's still not 100%, you know, smooth and perfect like if it was molded, but it looks a whole lot better than what it did. Even this little part up here, when I first test painted it and painted it silver, you could see all those lines like really bad. So I put multiple coats of putty and sanding and primer, and then clear coat over the top of this to get this all smoothed out, and it looks a whole lot better than what it did when I started. Just wanted to tell you really quick, Jeff over at 3dtrekker.com that produces this kit, he's a really good guy. I actually contacted him because I had this issue with these little antennas here. You didn't actually, in the original kit, you didn't actually get this little extra detail here of this little extension part of the antennas. He's using real metal extendable antennas like old walkie-talkie antennas, and they didn't have that extra little tip on there that we saw on Nomad, and I was really scratching my head on, you know, what I could come up with that would look similar to that. So I contacted him and just kind of, you know, ran it by him, and he went ahead and designed these tips and 3D printed them for me and sent me a pack of these out to do both kits, both this one and the one I'm going to be working on for myself, and I really appreciate that. Jeff's a great guy for doing that. So I'm pretty sure if you order one of these kits going forward, those will probably be included. But this is really cool because these actually work. You can see they extend out just like the original Nomad did. Not with a motor or anything like that, but you can have them either, you know, extended or retracted however you desire. We just went ahead and used some of our nice chrome paint on that, and it came out really nice. I painted up some of these other little details here, but thanks again for doing that for me, Jeff. I really appreciate that. I think it makes it look a whole lot better. So we got that taken care of. And then what I'm working on next here, you guys, is this is the lower part here. Now what I'm going to be doing, it took me a while to get this all figured out, how I wanted to do this. I wanted to keep it really simple and not spend, you know, a ton of money on it, and keep it to where it was going to be good quality. The sound was going to sound nice and clear. So it took me a little bit of time to figure out just how I wanted to do it. So what I'm going to do here, you can see it originally had this little bracket in here that was about that tall, and it went in this sort of like square. So I kind of took my grinding tool in here and cut all that out. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill some holes in the bottom here, and we're going to mount our speaker in here. I'm using a little mid-sized coaxial speaker, a round one. I think it's about 4 inches. And I did my testing with that, and the sound comes out of that really, really nice and clear. So that'll be hot glued in here to the very bottom, facing down. Well, to get the sound out of there, I decided to buy some little rubber feet for the bottom of this. That'll serve two purposes. That'll raise it up off the ground a little bit so the sound comes out a lot better. I didn't want the sound to sound muffled inside this giant, you know, plastic enclosure and sound like echoey, or, you know, like it was coming out of a hollow tube or something like that. And so it'll serve two purposes. It'll raise it up where the sound can come out the bottom nice and clear. It'll also allow my client, or whoever has this, to set it on a nice piece of furniture or a desk or something like that, and they won't have to worry about it scratching anything or doing any damage. You won't scrape the paint off the bottom of it and stuff like that. So that's going to work out really good. So I'm going to be using the speaker in here. We're going to put the soundboard in here in the bottom. We're going to put a battery pack in here. Now I'm going to be using a 12-volt lithium-ion rechargeable battery, like a 4800 milliamp battery. That will last a long time because we're not going to have that much lighting in this overall. Just driving the lighting and the soundboard won't take up that much. And we're going to put a recharging port here in the back. This little battery pack I'm buying comes with its own charger. So basically when this starts to run a little bit low, all you have to do is plug it in, let it charge up. When the light turns green, it's fully ready to go, and you'll be able to use it for, this could probably stay on for a good couple of days with that amp rating. But I'm sure my client's probably not going to run it that often, but it'll last a plenty long time, and it'll be nice and self-contained. I'm also using a remote board from Tenant Controls, so you can basically sit back and push the button to turn him on, and then push another button and he'll start talking, and that'll be a really sweet little setup. I think it's going to come out really nice, you guys. I haven't put on all the final greelies on the bottom part here yet, because I'm going to use some of those to hide where the charging jack is and where the power button is, because we want to have a separate power button. These little Tenant Controls remote control boards, they do use a little bit of juice all the time, so whenever you're not going to be running that, you want to make sure and shut it off. And but once you turn it on, kind of like what I showed you on the Nautilus build that I just did, that way you can come back after that and turn it on with the remote. So that's kind of the plan for that, you guys. In the next video, which will be just probably like next week or whatever, I'll have all the components in here, and then I'm going to take you through the final steps of getting this all put together and getting it worked out. I just wanted to show you basically what I came up with here. It's all working out really good. I think it's going to come out nice. We're going to come back really quick here. I'm going to wrap up the video by showing you a basic look at how he looks all stacked together with its basic lighting in place, so you can get kind of an idea how he's going to look. And we'll finish up with that. I'll be right back with that, you guys. All right, everybody. Well, here's a look at Nomad all stacked up and lit up. This is the first time I've showed this to you guys with all of his lights working, so really happy with how he's turning out. You can see those small little strips of LED tape did a really good job lighting up those panels on his body all the way around, nice and even. And you know, I didn't want to have those too bright like I talked about, because we're going to be having the voice module effect once we get the control board in there, and that'll make those light up a little bit brighter whenever he talks. And then we're going to have that kind of, you know, cycling effect going on down in the bottom once we hook up that control board as well. So I think it's going to work out just great for that. You can see we've got the little blue halo going on there that my client requested. I think that kind of really makes him pop and makes him look a little bit more modern. I really like that idea. And then we've got all three of his little eyes on the top here lit up. Those are just some 5mm LEDs that I kind of mounted in there and aimed them at the little lenses here, so that worked out really good. Again, this will all be on a remote control system, so my client can just basically turn this off and on and activate the voice whenever he wants. We're going to have several Nomad's well-known phrases that he says. So in the next video update, I'm going to take you in depth on how we finish all that up and get all of our electronics installed and get them all buttoned up and ready to go. So appreciate your patience, you guys. This has been a long time coming, a little delay here, but it's all going to work out great in the end. Thanks for hanging in there. And we'll be back in the next couple of days with an update on the DeAugustini Ford GT40 that I'm working on. I got several parts packs that came in for that I need to update you guys on. And then next week, we'll come back probably early next week and do the wrap up on Nomad here. Having a hard time getting them all in the shot, you guys. He's about 38 inches tall, so I'm backed up as far as I can go to get them all in here. But really cool, awesome kit. And again, thanks Jeff out there at 3D Trekker for helping me out with the little extras here. It really made this thing pop, and just a really good guy to work with. So if you're thinking about ordering one of these kits from him, you won't be disappointed, you guys. Really good guy to work with. All right, everybody, that's a wrap. We'll see you next time. Until we do, take care and happy modeling, everybody.